time for some Q&A. Alright guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Zach with Zach's Books, and today I've got for you some Q&A on my Instagram, which will have that handle down below if you want to check it out. Get to do fun stuff like this, such as see what I'm doing more on a daily basis, and get the vote on stuff. We recently had a poll on my Instagram on what my third book is going to be for some classic reads, and you guys saw that The Outsiders won. I'm not going to tell you the other two books yet because I think that vlog is going to come up after this, and so I kind of want to keep it a little bit of a surprise. But it is classic books, and none of them are really horror. No, one of them's it's kind of horror. Whatever. You'll find that out later. But the other one we just did was a Q&A. You guys asked the questions, and I will provide the answers. So this is going to be part one of I don't know how many we're going to do. So be on the lookout. Follow me on Instagram. So let's get to the answers to your questions. If you like stuff like this, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and let's hop into some Q's. Alright, first question. What got you interested in Stephen King? Well, back when I was a kid up in Wisconsin, we would watch The Shining nonstop, or at least I would. My great-grandma had a VHS player and a VHS tape of The Shining, and so I would watch it pretty much every day, sometimes twice a day. I was not as into fishing as my father and older brother were, and so typically I would stay behind with my great-grandma and kind of just watch The Shining. She got tired of it, but I would just watch it anyway. So one day my dad was like, why don't you actually read the book? And I'm like, well, I don't want to. And then after X amount of years, I finally decided to try and read it. Got through the first couple of pages, stopped. And then Danielle and I started dating. She said that she really enjoyed book stuff. And I'm like, hey, I enjoy Stephen King. You know, I actually read the book and I was like, holy crap, this is actually really good. So in short, because of the Stanley Kubrick film from 1980, which a lot of people say it's got nothing to do with the book, but whatever. So yeah, that answers that question. The next question, what made you want to start BookTube? So Danielle had really been into a lot of book stuff. I had always kind of been like a Stephen King person who like wanted to read his books but really never put forth the effort to really dig deep into doing it. And so finally Danielle was like, why don't you just, why don't you read them? And so I started reading them. I started with Bachman and kind of kept going from there. Went to Pet Sematary, all that stuff. And then one day we were just kind of sitting and talking about YouTube and stuff, and she goes, yeah, this book person liked this book, this person liked this book. You should do something like that. Why don't you do that? Because you read King, that's like, gets people going. And I'm like, okay. So one day we're just like, let's just do it. And here we are. Next question, what's been your favorite King movie adaptation? Yikes. Okay. So I will say a lot of the older stuff I like better than the newer stuff. I'm talking mainly in reference of Pet Sematary. The 2019 version was hot garbage, in my opinion. It was nothing even close to the book, and I absolutely hated that. The original adaptation was a lot better, but that's not my favorite. In terms of just the movie in general, based off a Stephen King book, I have to go with The Shining, just because that's the movie that got the whole horror book Stephen King train rolling. But if I want to pick something that's a little bit closer in relevance to what the book actually is, I would have to say The Green Mile. It's actually a really sad movie. Danielle was in tears. I was like, ooh. It's a sad movie. It's a sad book. Obviously I'm not going to spoil you on anything, but if you have read it, it's a really sad book, which actually I did a reading vlog on that, my 100th read of last year. If you've not seen that video, check it out up here. Also, it's just a really good movie. So those would be my two. Not really as relevant to the book, The Shining, relevant to the book, Green Mile. Next question. If horror/thrillers wasn't a genre, what genre of books would be your favorite? I'd probably say mystery. Mystery or science fiction. I'm really trying to get into more of like sci-fi, fantasy, stuff like that. So, it's a solid question. The next question. Who are your favorite authors other than King? Joe Hill, I've read 2 of his books, and I really loved Nosferatu. It's a really good book. Gave it 5 stars. Strange Weather wasn't the best. I DNF'd, I think, a story out of it. But besides him, you know, I've read Grady Hendrix has been a really good author for me. Jennifer McMahon is 2 for 2 so far. I would like to say Nick Cutter because of The Troop, but I just really wasn't into The Deep that much. So I really can't say him. Josh Mallerman's another one that's been pretty decent for me. And like the short story god right now for me is Keelan Patrick Burke. Like everything I've read from him is like 4.5 stars or better. So those would be my top besides King. Next question. Where are your favorite places to buy books? eBay is a big one if I want something that's more special edition, hard to find. In general, Half Price Books is where we go. Luckily, in the area we live, we've got like 6 or 7 by us, and so that's really nice. Barnes & Noble, if I'm looking for something like new release or like trying to branch out to a different genre. Otherwise, Half Price Books and eBay is really the spot for a King fan. Next question. Favorite autobiography or memoir? So, I actually have not really read any autobiographies or memoirs. So I don't really have an answer for this. I will tell you the one I would like to enjoy, and that's On Writing by Stephen King. I just haven't really gotten into like autobiographies or anything like that. I would rather read fictional stuff. However, I did hear On Writing is something that really helps people who want to write books, and that is something I'm trying to do. So I would say On Writing. That's probably a top choice for me. I just have to read it. So, where do you get your shelves? Also, any advice for Stephen King collectors? We have gotten our shelves from Target. They're actually pretty solid and sturdy. I do wish that they had, like the IKEA shelves, a 6th shelf, but unfortunately, they only have 5. But that's whatever. It's fine. Any advice for Stephen King collectors? eBay is your key to success. Yes, it is kind of annoying with some of the shipping issues or like shipping in general, but that's what you're going to get if you want the edition you want. That is what I've been getting to get nice, cool, special edition stuff, and I've been really enjoying it. So, in short, eBay. Next question. If you can reread only one Stephen King book forever, which one would you choose? Why? Oh, my goodness. That's a tough question. I mean, like, any of my top 5 would work. I would not say it just because I wouldn't want to read an 1,100-page book for the rest of my life. I would have to say either The Shining, Pet Sematary, or The Long Walk. Those would probably be my top 3 choices. It's a tough question for me because I love all my top 5 and even a couple of just the top 10 in general. So, Pet Sematary, The Shining, and or The Long Walk is what I would pick. Next question. If you could be a character in a Stephen King book, what character would you be? It's a hard question solely because do I know the fate that's going to happen to me? Like if I pick Jack Torrance because he's my favorite character of all time. I don't know. It's a tough question. If I could change my fate, knowing what is going to happen, I would say Jack Torrance. I would just be like, yeah, no, I'm going to listen to you guys. Like, yeah, this place sucks. It's a hard question. I love all my top 10 characters. Eddie Dean, I love him. I would be Eddie Dean. Being a gunslinger would be pretty cool. So yeah, I'd probably say Jack Torrance or Eddie Dean if I'm able to change my fate with Jack Torrance. So yeah, there you go. Next question is, has your top 5 Stephen King books changed since you filmed that video? Or your bottom 5? No. Well, my top 5 is touchy because the 5th book always is like between Christine or The Long Walk. There are times where I'm all on board for Christine, and then there are times where I'm all on board for The Long Walk. So as of right now, The Long Walk is number 5, where in the video I think I put Christine at number 5. So those 2 have flipped. Bottom 5, no, not really. Nothing's changed with the bottom 5 so far. So still got a few more I got to read though. So. All right, next question is, what are Danielle's favorite book genres? I want to say it's thriller, mystery, contemporary romance, and I think that's it. She doesn't really do horror books. That's more me. So, yeah, I think I'm 3 for 3 on that. Next question. What has been your biggest horror book disappointment not King? I mean, there's some highly hyped books that people talk about or reference, but I will say the biggest disappointment that I really just didn't enjoy was The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. A lot of people really enjoyed that book, and for some reason I really just couldn't get into it. Just wasn't good for me. It wasn't a fit for me. Maybe if I reread it, maybe that changes, but until then, it's definitely not a good book that I don't recommend. And finally, the last question. Do you have any book plans outside of YouTube? I am currently trying to write a book as well as a short story collection. I ran into a huge roadblock when I wrote the first chapter of my book. I had my grandparents read it, and my grandpa was like, hey, this would work as a really good short story. And I'm like, oh crap, okay. Do I do a short story now? It's been a long process because I've been outlining and researching a lot with the short story stuff. Just trying to get characters, the plot setting, like all that stuff. It's been building up for a little while now, and since I've jumped from 1 story to 4, it takes some time, but I'm getting there. And the other thing I'll say that Danielle and I are kind of working on is a book podcast where we talk books and stuff. But yeah, her and I are kind of working on setting up about a podcast where we talk about books and other things, stuff, non-book related movies, stuff like that. Which is actually pretty close to being launched with our first episode, but we just kind of introduce ourselves. So be on the lookout for that wherever you listen to podcasts. Yeah, those are pretty much the 2 things that are big, major coming up outside of YouTube, BookTube stuff. So there you go. Alright guys, those are your questions, which are all really solid questions, and those are my answers. Hopefully they were solid and helped you with your questions. So yeah, if you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Like I said, we've got other questions that we're going to be including in a part 2, maybe a 3, 4, 5, 6, who knows. But don't forget to follow me on Instagram so you can ask questions and be part of videos like this. Also, if you're intrigued with our podcast, don't forget to keep an eye out for that. Also, give us a thumbs up if you want to see that, because it's a really fun thing and I'm excited for it. Otherwise, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you guys in the next video. Later.